This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Just so you know, we have raw, honest and personal conversations on this podcast as we explore each person's story. So it contains strong language, sensitive subjects and adult themes.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, this is the Yungblud podcast. Turn up the volume! Each week, I talk to one of you at home about something that's going on in your life. This is a space for no shame and no judgment. It's just us having a chat. How you all doing? I hope you're well. Here in England, we've been back in lockdown 2.0 for a little while. I'm still in my underpants. Lol. Stay strong, all of you. I'm thinking about you all. This week, I'm talking to Billy Jo. Sick name. She's 18 from West Brom. Billy Jo has been a carer for her parents and her brother since she was 5 years old. She didn't actually know she was a young carer for years, and I didn't really know what that was, but she explained it so well. She wants to raise awareness for young carers because it's something that can be so isolating and stressful and leave a lot of people feeling lonely and confused. She's also trained to be a car mechanic, which is so punk. Here we go, turn up that volume. Yo, what's up, Billy Jo?
All right.
Can I tell you that is probably the best name ever? I'm a massive Green Day fan, so...
Yeah, there's a story behind it. My nan, when my mum was pregnant with my brother, my nan said, if it's a girl, name her Billy Jo. And then my sister, at the time, was a massive emo.
Oh, great.
And she was like, yeah.
I just think you are sick. Like, I just want to start by saying that. The amount you juggle and you're only 18 years old is insane. I think you're so inspiring. That's why I could not wait to talk to you. And today we're talking about being a young carer and everything around the idea of what a young carer means and what you have to do. Firstly, what is a young carer for everyone who doesn't know, and how long have you been one?
Okay, so a young carer is anyone between the ages of 5 and 18 years old who provides support, whether it be emotional, physical, financial, to someone in their family that is disabled. So in my case, I've been helping out with my older brother since I was 5, and then my parents since I was maybe 10.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
It must get hard at times.
Yeah, there's times when you kind of sit and think to yourself, why did I end up in this situation? Why was I the one that kind of got this family? Why couldn't it have been someone else?
Yeah.
And you do feel guilty for thinking that, but sometimes those thoughts just crop up.
100%, and like in kind of at us as all human beings, if someone doesn't have thoughts like that, they're probably lying to you. You know what I mean? We're all
Yeah.
not. We all ain't got halos and angel wings, man. Do you know what I mean? Or we wouldn't be humans. Do you have to? So, what on a daily basis do you have to do for your family? Do you have to do a lot in terms of kind of physical work, or I mean, obviously a lot of emotional support, probably.
Yeah. With my parents, it's mostly physical, because they both have arthritis. My father has breathing problems. He's highly susceptible to COVID.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So with both my parents, it's very much physical work, helping out around the house, doing the cleaning, helping with the cooking if my mum's having a bad day with her hands, picking up medications, making sure they've got the tablets. My dad's got his inhalers. Like, a lot of housework is
completely
involved.
I can imagine, and I tell you what, you must get tired, especially like we'll go into it in a minute, because you are doing incredible things in terms of your career as well, which I can't wait to talk to you about in a second. But going in that first, like, what was it like at school? Was it like, did you get a lot of support from school? Was it hard? I mean, obviously, having to maintain homework and having to maintain the idea of progressing your mind in terms of your education, having to physically work on top of that as well.
Yeah. School was a nightmare.
Fair enough. Don't sugarcoat. I love that, man. I love that.
Nah. School was horrible. The stories I could tell you about things that people have said to me because of my caring role. I had one boy I was year 8. My brother was year 10 at the time. He's 2 years older than me, but he's got severe mental disabilities because of something he went through as a baby.
Yeah.
And this one boy thought it'd be funny to call my brother a spastic and a retard to my face.
Yeah.
And I had to be sent out the classroom because I threatened to wrap a chair around his head.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so sad when things like that happen, because I completely feel that obviously he is your brother and you love him, and you love him with all your heart and you care for him and you think, and for someone to be kind of that ignorant and what is seen to be a joke to someone, that's your life. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I think you're badass. As I say, you have found an escape, haven't you, from this through kind of a young carers group, right? A young carers place to kind of go.
Yeah. So in my local area, and I know there is other groups across the country, we have a support group in my area called Samwa Young Carers. They're a charity that supports young people from the age of 5 up until they're 18 with their caring role. So they kind of just provide getaways and little breaks.
So sick.
I didn't find them until I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
And by that point, like, you've been doing it for so long, you're kind of coping on your own already. But it's nice just to have that little extra support on the
side.
side.
To be a bit of a kid as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as someone like you, you have to grow up so quickly, I imagine. And I bet it was amazing to kind of go out and just be able to exist and do stupid stuff and be a bit of an idiot if you want to. Do you know what I mean? And I want to definitely put out there, like, any young carers out there who are struggling, I hope you're like kind of listening right now and finding a bit of like comfort in kind of Billy Joe's story, because there is places to go. And I hope this provides a sense of comfort to you, and a sense of, okay, I'm going to start looking for a place to go because you ain't alone out there. But now I want to bring this up, man. You're trained to be a car mechanic, aren't you? You rock and roll star.
Hey.
I love that. How is that going?
It's going good, yeah. I'm on my level 3, my final year. It's fun.
Dude, I can imagine.
Really
Do you know what's so crazy? You remind me so much of my sister. And you remind me so much of Jem. She's such like a badass, and I'm literally getting that energy from you right now. I think that's so sick. Like, I'm literally talking to my sister right now. It's so weird. How is being like trained to be a car mechanic? Because you said sometimes the lads in your class can be a bit.
It was mainly my first year. I'd get like, I remember walking in on like the first day, and there'd be certain things or certain looks, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Like, grow up.
Dude,
we're 16.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably because you can make a faster car than them anyway, so it's all right. Do you know what I mean? They're probably a little bit intimidated.
I wish.
Dude, I love that, man. I love that. I think that's so sick, and it's so interesting, isn't it? Like, in car mechanics and engineering, man, like, that it's still seen to be such like a masculine profession. Next up, let's change that. Do you know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah. I was kind of debating what to do when I first applied to college. There was a couple of courses I was looking at. And my dad owns a Harley Davidson.
Oh, cool.
Like, we've got motorbikes and that, and we go out on them together all the time. And we were kind of just like, you know what? We might as well just, like, start fixing them together. And he was like, tell you what, do mechanics when you get to college. And when you're old enough and you've passed your test, I will get you a bike that you can do up yourself.
So sick.
I was like, deal.
My mum's brother rides motorbikes. He used to ride them professionally, and then he, like, fell off and hurt himself a lot. And I used to be so fascinated. I'm terrible at it. You know what I mean? That's why I became like a singer and prance about on stage. But I thought it was like such an interesting thing. And I think that's so sick that you're the only girl on your mechanics course and you're killing it.
I'm the only girl in my class, and I'm like, hi.
You moved around schools a lot, right?
Yeah, I transferred high schools at the end of year 9. Because of the bullying and how bad it was getting. It was getting to the point where I genuinely hated school. I didn't want to go. I used to beg my mom to let me, like, take days off because I just couldn't stomach the thought of seeing the people that had made my life hell for 3 years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When my brother left, when he finished year 11, my mum said, all right, find a school you want to go to and we'll apply. So that's what we did. And there was a school that had opened literally 2 years before on the high street in my hometown. And we went, all right, you can go there, just be careful, because there was a couple of kids that were coming from the same school as me.
Completely, yeah.
So I kind of had to learn how to avoid them.
Was going to that school afterwards, did it get easier?
They were more understanding, but I wouldn't say it was easier.
Yeah, completely, 100%.
Like, it was a school that taught you, like, how to get into the medical careers. So they were very much understanding of what I did.
Yeah.
But there was still situations where I'd have to explain it over and over and over again, and they just would not listen. I remember having one teacher that would set homework every week, and no matter how many times I'd explain to her, I can't get this done before the deadline, when the deadline came round and it wasn't done, she'd kick off at me in front of the entire class.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for fuck's sake, I have explained this to you 20 times now.
No, I agree, and I think if there's anyone listening from a school kind of, or a committee, or if you're a teacher, or if you are a headmaster or a headmistress or anything, I genuinely please urge you to listen to this story and what Billy Joe's saying, and please put as many actions to and as many kind of programs into place for young carers so they do get that understanding, because you won't understand, I don't understand, only a young carer will understand what they have to do.
A lot of the time, because we miss homework so often, we're labelled the lazy kids or the dumb kids. And it's like, we're not lazy, we're not stupid, we are trying, we just don't have as much time as the other kids do.
Dude, completely.
We have things that we have to do that these kids don't. If they miss homework, it's probably because they've got things going on themselves, or they're playing their Xbox or something.
100%.
We have a genuine reason. I can bring you doctor's notes from my parents' appointments, and they're like, oh, but you should have done it when you had the chance. How's about shut up and listen to me, please?
Dude, I'm
not being...
I love it, man. I love it. I mean, get it out. I love that. This is what this is for. This is exactly what this podcast is for. Literally, I want people to hear your frustration firsthand, and I want people to hear what you have to say firsthand, because you have a right to be heard. You are a young carer. You're so inspirational to me, and you deserve to kind of have just as much opportunity as anybody else, and we need to change that. So please, if anybody is out there and listening and is a young carer and relates to Billy Joe, you ain't alone. And if you are a teacher, if you're working in a school, if you think, please understand, please put programs in, please put methods in place to help kids and young people like Billy Joe, because they are not like everyone else. They cannot be placed in a box. They are doing something extraordinary. Like Billy Joe, I think you're brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. I think you're sick, and I hope you get your motorbike, and I hope you're razzing around West Brom and annoying the neighbours.
Absolutely.
Keeping
it's
it
kind of
loud.
the whole point.
Please give my love to your family, and I would love next time we're in Birmingham or near the Midlands, I would love for you all to come. We'll sort you some tickets out. I'd love to meet you. I think you're really sick, and I think you're really inspirational, man.
Cheers.
Have you got anything you'd like to say to any other young carers out there, or anybody, before we turn the volume down?
I think the main things that I want people to take away from this, especially other young people in my situation, is you are not alone. This can feel so isolating, and I know I've been there. You feel like you are the only person on the planet doing this. I promise you, you're not. There are people out there that will listen to you, that will support you, that will sit with you through the highs and the lows and have your back no matter what.
So sick.
And when you find those people, everything brightens up, because I know how this can affect your mental health. It left me in a depression for a while, and when you find the right people, you'll be okay.
Yeah, man, I love that. I think that's it. I think be yourself and the right people will find you. I'm pretty speechless, to be honest. And that is literally rare. So thank you so much. You're brilliant. And I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you soon, okay?
Yeah.
See you soon. Love ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Legend. I'm not often speechless, man, but it was so incredible to hear Billy Joe talk with such passion and anger and frustration. That's what I want this podcast to be about. I want this podcast to be about you not holding back and saying things from a place of passion and just ultimately telling the truth and allowing you to have this outlet to get what you need to get out. If you happen to care for family or friends, make sure you look after yourself. You are absolutely incredible for what you do. And if you need any more information on this issue, search online for BBC Action Line. If you like this podcast, please tell your mates, tell your siblings, tell your goldfish, tell your colleagues, tell your nan. I want to speak to as many of you as I can. I can't wait to see you next week. Look after yourself.
BBC.
This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Yo, what's going on? This is the Yungblud podcast, so turn up that volume. Happy! Thank you so much for all the love you've been giving the podcast. I legitimately could not do this without you because this podcast is about you. Each week I talk to one of you about something big in your life. And I cannot wait for you to hear my chat this week with Rosie. She's 21 from London. Rosie was a professional dancer competing in the World Championships when she broke her feet and she was told she'd never dance again. But after struggling with mental and physical health for 2 years, she's learned a lot. A positive attitude was like so infectious to me, and I am buzzing for you guys to hear our chat. As always, a little bit of bad language in this episode. Don't tell me mum she's going to wash my mouth out with soap. Wherever you're listening to this, turn up that volume. Yo, all right,
Hello.
Rosie. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Congratulations on your EMA as well.
Mental, man. I could not...
Smashed it.
Oh, thank you. It was a bit weird, like flying around. I wanted to have you on because I think your story is absolutely incredible and I relate to you a lot. Like, I think there's a lot of similarities between me and you in terms of we both go on tour, we both perform, we both face major setbacks, but kind of every day is about overcoming those setbacks. And I couldn't wait to get you on because I think you're kind of a bit of a role model and I think you're going to be really inspiring for people to hear your story.
Oh, thank you.
How did you get into dance?
Well, I think as a kid, I was such an energetic child. I would run around all the time, like I would just not sit still. So obviously when you're younger, you get into things kind of like gymnastics and different types of sports. And when I was younger, my parents put me in ballet. And obviously as I've gotten older, I can appreciate ballet now. Like, it is beautiful. But as a kid, it was too slow. Like, I just couldn't do it. Like,
Dude,
I just wanted to run around, jump everywhere. So I did gymnastics. That kind of got my energy out. And then my mum knew a friend whose mum taught dancing, and I'd seen like Laws the Dance and River Dance and stuff like that before. So she said, oh, just try it. She might not like it. She might end up loving it. And ever since then, it was 15, 16 years and I never looked back.
Crazy. Bro, I was the same. Like, as a kid, I had this weird energy that like no one could put the finger on.
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme online? It's like, Billy, what you doing? What you got? He's like, a knife! And he's running around the garden. Have you seen that meme online? That's legitimately me as a kid. And my mum's like, no! So like I was, because I started doing a bit of dancing as well. I was a dancer. Then I wanted to be in a rock and roll band, but I did dance, you know what I mean, to get it out. Was it hard, like, because you danced a lot, right? You were dancing like intensely, like you went to the World Championships kind of level. This ain't like, you know what I mean, Saturday Night Fever. This is like mad things. So like, was it hard, like balancing like friends and school and kind of you had to sacrifice a lot in terms of becoming the dancer you were to get kind of as far as like the World Championships?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think when you have like a stereotypical teenager, every kind of weekend would kind of be, you'd see your friends, you'd go out, you'd spend time together. But I think once you were kind of in your head thought, oh, well, this is potentially going to be my career, you kind of just put that to the side and you don't really think about it. So your social life definitely takes a bit of a backseat. And in regards to kind of school and stuff, as much as school is very important and your education is very important, like all of my friends, including myself, like we put dancing first.
Completely.
You do your homework like on the way to class, you do it on travelling to competitions and stuff. So it was important, but dancing kind of came first.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, if you know what you want to do and you have such a clear idea, I think it's fair to say that give that absolutely everything you got. You know what I mean? Never be afraid to kind of care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always say that to people. It's like, never be afraid to give a shit. Because I think, like, a lot of stigma, especially in young people, like, it's so much cooler to not care and to, like...
Oh, definitely.
Put, like, do you know what I mean? And just go about your life and be, like, too cool for school. I'm like,
Yeah.
Do you want to know what's cool? Being passionate about something. That's really cool. You know what I mean? Do you want to know what's cool? Giving a shit and kind of radiating that energy, because that's inspiring. What was your favourite, like, best memories of, like, competing? Did you just get a buzz? What was it like when you were dancing up there?
It's really weird. I don't know if you're the same, because obviously when you go out and perform, you'll do it, and then I don't know if you realise kind of what you've done in the moment. I know I'd go up, I'd be absolutely bricking it, and then you could finish like your round or your dance or whatever, and you come off, and someone would say, well, how did it go? Well, like, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, bro, you're just in
out.
it. You just like lose you, like you kind of just escape, and it's like great. Like when you're so nervous, you just like forget. It's like you've got like you're obsessed and you're in the moment, and it feels just like everything's coming together.
Yeah.
And it feels like fire in snow or something. But when you get off stage, like, I don't remember a single moment of that. You know what I mean? Because you're just kind of so lost in it and immersed in it. So you went to the World Championships and you broke your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And what was it like? Because you performed whilst injured, right?
So yeah, it was broken at the time that I was dancing.
But you are literally the same person as me. Like,
you just get on with it.
I was in the West End for a bit.
Oh, really?
Actually,
wow.
yeah, I was in Bugsy Malone in London.
Oh, wow.
And I, with a choreographer called Drew McConey, I don't know if you know of him, and I actually did the same thing. I did 3 ligaments in my knee. And I've been rehearsing for 6 weeks. The week before the show was on, out, dancing career over. Do you know what I mean? Which was mental.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's why I couldn't wait to speak to you, because, like, trust me, I relate to you heavy in that regard, and I know the kind of person you are. Like, when you want something that much, nothing is going to get in the way of you achieving it. And it's hard because sometimes you have to check in with yourself and go, I might be causing myself damage here and pain. You know what I mean? And it's hard to kind of process that. But I would say that to anyone out there listening, kind of take a breath and just always check in with yourself in times of, like, incredible stress, to think about your health as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Did you know in the moment you broken your feet, or was it more like an adrenaline got you through?
Well, I think it was because, I've broken both my feet. So I broke the first one. The night before a competition in October a couple of years ago, and then you kind of get aches and pains all the time, so you never really notice it. But then, kind of in the run up to the World Championships, I had a pain in the other foot, so I didn't know that it was broken at all. And obviously, you dance on it, you're in a lot of pain. But I didn't find out until I'd come home and gone to the hospital and got my scan. So then afterwards, they said, "Oh yeah, you've danced on it. It's broken."
Oh.
And it wasn't the best. Obviously, it's not the worst situation in the world. Like, I totally get it's not the most salient situation. Like, so many people have it worse. But I think what was difficult for me was, from a kid, that was going to be my career. That was what I was, like, aiming towards. And having that taken away from me whilst all of your other mates are still doing what you wanted to do, I found really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And especially because a lot of your social circle, they're to do with the dancing as well, and the industry that you were in. So when you're taken out of that, because school took a backseat, as well as kind of a social life at school, you do end up quite lonely.
Dude, it is so hard, and that's why I find you so strong in terms of kind of processing all that, because, like, I am terrible at, like, rejection, and I'm terrible of, like, within things like that, because I remember one of the hardest moments in my life was leaving that company as well, because I'd rehearsed, I'd got songs, I was ready to go on stage, I was ready to do it. All my friends, all my life for basically like 2 months was this. And then I sat on press night and I watched everyone else do the show I was supposed to do. But I think that kind of can shape you in a way, in a human being. And I have had a lot of setbacks in my career. So many people have told me no. But the way we're almost like cats, human beings. You're always going to land upright, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
And you're always going to do what you were meant to do, and this twist of fate, whatever gets thrown your way, is going to work itself out in the end. And I think that's like such a message to kind of anyone out there going through pain and going through stress. I know in the moment it can seem like you just had your heart ripped out and it's spat on in front of you. But you'll figure it out, because everyone's smart and everyone has the ability to reset and rethink. And I can feel from you, like from speaking to you, there's something, you've got plans, you know what I mean, at the end of this, and you're strong and you're going to get through it, and no matter how, dance is going to be a part of your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think whether I'm physically dancing or not, it's always going to be a part of my life. Like I grew up with the teachers, with the people that I dance with, and the kids at the school and the teachers at the school that I was at. They are the hardest working people in the world. Like, they are absolutely phenomenal in every sense. But I think going through something like what I've been through, I think you do second guess everything, because you think, was it a waste of time? Was it a mistake? Should I have gone to university or done something else? And I think you do end up going down quite a dark path, not to obviously get too much into the mental health side of it, but I think...
No, this is good though. I think, as I say, like, I would love to talk to you about that, because this is what this podcast is for. I want this podcast to be a release for you and everyone that's listening right now, that even if you're not a dancer out there, but if you're going through something, or your career, or someone you loved, or anything has been taken away from you, it's going to have a toll on your mental health. So I would love for you to go into that, so people can understand you and relate to you, you know?
Well, what do you want to know?
Your rehabilitation process, that must have taken its toll on your head a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think obviously being in such a intense industry where, if you think about it in the grand scheme of the world, it's relatively quite small. Like, there's not a lot of people that work in the arts in comparison to people who work in offices or work in kind of retail or things like that. And I think coming out of it, there was obviously the relief of the intensity, but you didn't want that, because you wanted to still be in it. And I think the uncertainty of not sure if you were even going to walk again properly, because obviously the bone that I did, it essentially holds the structure of your foot together, and being told you might not even walk again properly, let alone dance again, at 18 years old, when essentially you were at the beginning of your career, it was quite difficult.
I mean, I can imagine. Wow.
Like the rehabilitation, obviously you do get a bit lazy, because when you've been doing it for such a long period of time, you do think, is this even worth it? It's not getting any better. Like, what is the point? And you go to appointments and you go to physios and you come back with constant negative information, being told, no, it's not working. We're going to try something else. We don't know what's wrong with you. And I think the culmination of that, plus obviously other things that happen in your day-to-day life anyway, you do have a massive knock with your mental health anyway. And prior to even breaking the foot, I did struggle a lot with certain things. And I think obviously having the one thing that made you essentially feel better, quote unquote, feel better, but that was taken away from you. So you obviously do get into a really, really dark place, and you do kind of take things out on yourself, and you do think about kind of putting a stop to it, because you're in so much pain and you don't know what to do anymore. But it's only until fairly recently I've kind of realised that your life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. And even though there is a lot of shit, don't get me wrong, like, it will hit you from completely different angles whether you dance or not. Like you say, it will be all right. And I know that's like a really kind of sappy term, like, oh, it's going to be fine, but like, it genuinely will be. It will work itself out.
But I love that.
I wouldn't have done this before, like, to have a picture taken of me, or to even kind of go out socially, or to see anybody at all, absolutely used to terrify me. So I think doing this, especially with what you're doing now, just kind of talking to people and getting their voices heard and sharing different stories with different people that will obviously hopefully inspire people. It's brilliant. So this is such a positive thing. So thank you.
No, thank you for coming on. Like I couldn't wait to talk to you. And that idea that your life should be enjoyed, not endured. What a quote, man. That's sick. How is walking now? How has lockdown kind of affected your recovery? Is like, are you kind of, is it getting easier? Does it hurt a lot or?
I think it's kind of positive and negative, because obviously the whole coronavirus pandemic thing, it's absolutely awful for so many people, but not to be kind of selfish, but it has helped me a hell of a lot more. And I think because you were watching everybody else go and live their life, which is now something that you couldn't do. So the fact that the whole world had to stop.
And can relate to you.
I just felt a bit more kind of welcomed by everybody else and a bit more accepted, like, hang on, everybody else is in a similar situation to you. Take your time, it will be all right. So you can have more patience with yourself to make yourself the best version. So obviously with appointments and stuff being cancelled and not being able to go to certain places, it is difficult, but it gives you time to work on yourself, which enables you to get better in the long run.
That's it, man. It's like, I think a big lesson, like, for us all, like, no matter how dark it will get, it will always get better. You know what I mean? With time. And that sounds so funny to say. It's like, oh my God, time. But it's
gross
like,
as it sounds, it's so true.
Your passion and your courage, man, really like is inspiring to me. And
thank you.
I would love to, I could tell you were probably incredible. I'd love to see a video of you dancing. If you would literally like send it to my team, I would love to see you dance.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send it over.
I would love to see you dance. Honestly, I really would. Like, Rosie, man, thank you so much for coming on.
A pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing.
Keep being incredible and keep fighting. See you later.
See you later. Bye.
I cannot believe how inspiring Rosie is. Her outlook on life, I think, is something we can all really learn from. Just because things may not go our way and we have to deal with massive setbacks in our life that may change our whole perception on the way our life would be, taking everything positive from it is so important. And if you are struggling with your mental health for whatever reason, you can get more information online by searching for BBC Action Line. Subscribe on BBC Sounds to this bad boy podcast. I'm such a weirdo. And I'll see you next week. Love ya. Motley Crue.
What's going through your mind right now?
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Yo, this is the Yungblud podcast. Turn up that volume. Happy! This is my podcast where I get to know one of you guys a little bit better each and every week. We have a chat about something in your life, something that's important to you. I have learned so much from you already. Like, you literally blow my mind every time. This week, I'm speaking to Yoshi, who is our first guest from America. Yoshi is 18 from California and identifies as gender fluid. Each day, Yoshi wakes up feeling a different gender and so switches between using he, she, and they pronouns. They started to tell the friends, the teachers, and the family that they were gender fluid at high school, and I was really interested to hear about the different reactions. I think it says a lot about the differences in generations and their views on identity. As always, I can't help it, we did use some rude words. Sorry about that, / not sorry. Here's my chat with Yoshi. Turn up that volume. Yo, Yoshi, what's up? You look incredible.
Thank you.
What's going on? You good?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm literally like so excited to talk to you. You're actually our first American guest, which I'm like, yeah.
Really?
And we are talking about gender fluidity and being gender fluid. So what pronouns should I use for you today?
He, him, his.
I kind of like relate so heavily to this because I wake up every day as a different person, like severely relate to you so heavy right now. And I just wanted to kind of kick off being like, what does gender fluidity and being gender fluid mean to you?
It's sort of like the same aspect as like waking up as like a new person every day.
What is it like? So it kind of, you wake up as what you are that day? Is it a morning thing, or does it kind of happen before you go to bed and you kind of know the person you're going to wake up as?
It's more of a morning thing for me. If I do not sleep at night, then like I could sort of feel like something's sort of happening in my brain that's like sort of switching into a change reaction. Basically, my body's like, okay, you're this. But just because my body is like, hey, you might be a guy, doesn't mean that I'm not going to wear like makeup if I feel like wearing makeup, you know?
Completely. I think that's what's so interesting and amazing about our generation, that the way we are kind of really pushing to be accepting. Obviously, there's still a lot of ignorance out there that we're all fighting against, especially me and you. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially like people like us, we are fighting against. But I think it's incredible to kind of even come across the idea of being gender fluid, because people who are gender fluid, which is, by the way, a real valid thing. If people are going, what is this? What does this mean? This is a real thing. If you are gender fluid, you are real, you are heard, you are going to be amplified right now. The idea that we can come across this because of the internet and because of conversation that we're having is incredible. Did you come across the idea of gender fluidity over the internet or over a conversation with your friends, or did you kind of always feel this way, yet finding that terminology allowed you to kind of say, hey, yo, this is what I am?
For me, it was really weird, my childhood, because like I would get into like all the clothes I found, my mom's, my brother's, it did not matter. But the issue was like, as let's say kindergarten, maybe, it was more of like, sometimes I would be like, let me wear pants and a hoodie to school. And then other times I'm like, I want to wear a dress to school. Why not? I was a child. I didn't understand like what that meant. I thought like, oh, I'm a kid, I'm having fun. But like, as I never grew out of it, I sort of was like, not everybody is doing this. Why does no one else feel this way? And then middle school, you know, kids playing on like the computers, going to Urban Dictionary, finding out what this means. All of a sudden, like, I was just looking at the Urban Dictionary and it was like, gender fluid, this is what it means. And I was like, that's what I've been dealing with my whole life.
Yeah. Didn't I think that's what's so sick? And it's what I always say, like, a lot of people have a lot of issues of online, and yes, it can be a toxic and an evil place to go, but I think the fact that we can kind of learn so much about ourselves and have conversations with people all over the planet who are exactly the same as we are, because, dude, there was not many kind of boys wearing nail polish and skirts where I was from, and you know what I mean, it's probably by your face I'm like, you relate heavy, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think the idea that we can go on the internet and be like, yo, this is what I am, is there anyone out there like me? And then people go, oh, what? I feel the same way. Thank God, even though you're at the other side of the planet, thank fuck there is somebody like me. Oh my God, what the hell? I'm not alone in my weirdly wonderful state. What was it like telling your family? Okay.
It was weird because like I am one of those rare cases where you have to come out like twice. It's like first your sexuality, then your identity. Bisexuality wasn't an issue. They just like were like, okay, cool, love who you love. But the moment I was like, by the way, I'm not completely cis, was like a breaking the back type of situation where it was like, we did not raise you to be like that. That is not acceptable. Like they went into like a whole like God made you in this body for a certain reason.
Yeah,
and I was just like
that whole like, and that is just so. Firstly, I'm sorry. Secondly, I'm here for you. Thirdly, like I couldn't wait to get you on because one, your story inspired me, and when you tell me that, for anybody out there listening, if your family don't accept you, you will find a family somewhere else. And I think that is why kind of I even started Yungblud in general. I wanted people to come together, because Yungblud ain't me. You're Yungblud. Yoshi's Yungblud just as much as Dom's Yungblud. Do you know what I mean? Like, legitimately, you are. This family will accept you even if no one else does. That is what it was built for. And that is like why I love talking to you all so much, because you're inspiring the hell out of me right now. Like, I'm envious of you. I wish I could be just as confident as you. And probably your story is going to make me think about what I am in my head as well, which is awesome. And you said you identify as, like, sexuality-wise bisexual. Yeah. How is that on a level, because your gender changes daily, and how has that been for partners in the past? Because I can imagine that must be quite a lot to understand if you are not willing to understand it, or if you're not willing to kind of have your perception of what you might know changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the situation with partners is just like, it's very hard finding a partner when you're gender fluid, because it's not just finding somebody who is like, somebody could fall in love with like the girl version of me, and I'm going to be like, hey, not trying to catfish, you know? But it's more of like strictly like, for me, I cannot date anybody who is 100% straight, obviously. I have to go with dating people who are open-minded, bisexuals or pansexuals. So, cause like they understand the whole spectrum of like everything's not just male, female type of aspect. Completely. It has been hard. I will say that a lot of people and that I have like ended up liking me were only like, I like this version of you, not all the versions that come with gender fluidity.
That is hard, that someone might fall in love with a certain version of you. But I think kind of from my perspective, when I fall in love with someone, I fall very much in love with a person, no matter what they may be. And I think that's kind of a thing that really shows a testament to what love is. I think people do change. Even if you've been married for 20 years, the person you were with at the start might not be the person you are with now, because people grow and people change. And I think for especially right now, and in the way that sexuality and the way that relationships are evolving, I think if you fall in love with someone and they change their gender on the daily, to someone like me, that like, if I love someone, that's exciting. But I think it's up to us to kind of break that stigma and kind of really say that it's about the person and it's about what they are, because the fundamental values of a person doesn't change if your gender changes. What you believe in doesn't change. Maybe I'm wrong. Does like what you believe in change on the daily, or does your fundamental core stay the same yet your gender changes?
Yeah, it is basically like that. Like, I'm me. I still have my personality, the things I like to read, listen to. Your music, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. That all like is the same. It's just the sort of exterior shell changes.
Completely. And I think that's, do you know what? I think that's so interesting. I think that's rad. I think that's awesome. How was school? How is school?
So currently I don't have any challenges because everything's online, but high school was something. A lot of people would, first day of school, I look a certain way, you know, and then the next day they're like, who's this new person in that seat? It's like, it's still me, guys. It was very weird. Like you said, you know, we sort of make our own families. That's where high school ended up. I started finding people who were like, I don't care what you look like. You seem like a rad person to hang out with. But more of the adult situations were weird and iffy. Some people thought it was interesting. I was like their entertainment for the year of high school, of like, what is Yoshi going to enter with next type of thing.
How did that make you feel? Did you like that or did you dislike that?
I was fine, you know, like, hey, let me brighten up your day real quick. Let me be a little surprised.
Dude, I love that.
But yeah, it was weird because mostly security were a big issue. Like, I don't use restrooms because of high school traumas where like it's lunch. I gotta go WAS, but and then I'll be looking like this, entering the guys' restroom, and they'll be like, "Hey, stop! You can't go in there. You're not allowed in there." And then I have to explain my whole life story and why I can.
Yeah, completely. Dude, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's why like there's such a big kind of need for our generation, especially the way things are progressing, and rightly so, and absolutely incredibly progressing at a quick rate, as they should be. I think toilets need to be gender neutral.
Right.
You have a job where you work in a restaurant, and people sometimes find it hard if you are kind of entering different bathrooms, right? That's so old hat to me. I just don't get. I don't know why. I just don't understand that. I'm like, come on, what are you playing at? You know what I mean?
It's funny because I've only came out to one person at my job, and they left. So I'm just like waiting for the hat to drop, because like people have not understood yet. They're just like constantly being like, "Oh wow, you change every day. You must be like very like artistic and expressional." And I'm just waiting for them to be like, "So are you female, male?" Like I'm waiting for somebody to ask me that question.
Yeah, and then you're gonna be like, "I'm gender fluid," and they're gonna be like, "What does that mean?" And then it's like, okay. But it's cool. This is why this is why I couldn't wait to get you on this podcast, because the whole reason I wanted to do this was to uplift and amplify these stories. So everybody out there, if you are out there and you are gender fluid and you are feeling alone, I hope Yoshi's story has like helped you today. And I think if you are not gender fluid and you've learned something about that, please scream it and shout it from the rooftop so everyone realizes and everyone can be educated on this subject, so we can like go forward and move forward quickly. Yo, thank you so much for coming on today. You rock star.
Of course.
Do you have anything you want to say before we skedaddle?
Only thing is, like, for those who are confused, like, you guys can contact me. I can talk to you, help you discover who you are, all that lovely stuff. Yeah.
This is what this is for. This is a network to bring people together so you guys can feel valid and you guys can feel heard and you guys can be who you are. Be.who.you.r! ! Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Keep being loud. Keep being amazing. I think you're brilliant. Bye. Yo, that was such a sick conversation. I love that he's doing his own thing. I love that today he identified as a male, and tomorrow there is endless possibilities, because that is the way he is himself. Never let anybody put you in a box and define your gender. That is your choice and your choice alone. If you want some more info about LGBTQI plus issues, maybe avoid Urban Dictionary. Instead, you can search online for BBC Action Line. Tell your mates about this podcast. We want this family to grow, and subscribe to BBC Sounds. I'll see you next week. Ta-ra!
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Yo, this is the Yungblud podcast. Turn up the volume today, or maybe turn it down, because this one's going to get loud. I've spoken to some incredible people on his podcast so far. I'm literally having the time of my life right now, honestly. Thank you so much to everyone that submitted and broke the BBC website, because I've been having so much fun. Everyone has been absolute rock and roll stars. But today, I wanted to introduce you to one of my good mates. He's such a legend, the king of YouTube, and a real-life rock star, man. It's KSI.
Been in the game since Namco. Bring it back. I'm fully got y'all. Bring that thing in a place where you need it. Big thing, make me wanna boss when I beat it. Top striker, I'm hardly missing. You call, so we need to christen. Listen.
We only just met recently. We've been kind of messaging online for a while, but we met properly a couple of weeks ago. And I think we have a lot in common in the way the world perceives us. He's totally defying the narrow box that the world's placed him in. I relate to him so heavy because that was something I faced. There was a lot of stigma against me when I wanted to be an artist and had an idea to just build a culture that was outside of the normal rules and regulations of the music industry, inverted commas. I want anybody out there who is a musician and is starting out to kind of hear this story, because it's legitimately a story of just being real and being yourself, because you are incredible. There is no carbon copy. Let's get on it. We used a lot of bad language in this one, so if you don't like swearing, turn it off. But if you're into that, here's me and KSI chatting shit. Wagwan.
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Are you?
Yeah. You've been busy.
Bro, you've been busy.
Nah, bro, I saw you at the EMAs, man. You've been doing bits.
Me and you were like, you've been busy. No, you've been busy. We're going to end this like, you hang up. Bro, I was just literally telling everyone, like, this is going to be the loudest podcast probably in the history of podcasts.
Jesus. Nah, well, we got to keep it somewhat tame. Else people be like, oh, I'm turning off.
Yeah, I mean.
What is this? I can't hear anything.
Just two idiots screaming at each other. I just couldn't wait to get you on this show because, I mean, we're teasing this already, but we've been working together a little bit and kind of becoming mates. And I want to talk about the stigma within, like, the music industry in terms of, like, fan bases and building culture.
Yeah.
I kind of, like you so much because I relate to you as an artist who kind of built it as a culture instead of doing what the rule book tells you to do.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of, I mean, there's certain artists that just make tunes to try and go viral as fast as possible and trying to get the success as fast as possible. Whereas, you know, for like us, we've done the groundwork and we've slowly built up our fan base and created a very hardcore, dedicated amount of people who, you know, look up to what we say, look up to what we do, and are inspired by it. You know, it's not like we're just throwing music out there like it doesn't matter, you know, whatever. You know, there's a lot of work and craft that goes behind it, and, you know, essentially it gets us to a point where, you know, whatever we do, we always have people beside us, you know, rocking with us.
Completely. And that's legitimately kind of what I really wanted to kind of amplify today, because it's so interesting, bruv, like with all the media and the music and the, do you know what I mean, the lads with the crusty suits and that, you know what I mean? I think if your music becomes popular with people, but they didn't stem that popularity, then make it seen out to be not credible and kind of highlight where you came from very much. Like, I know you started on YouTube, brother. I started on Disney Channel. Do you know what I'm saying? And everyone to me was like, he's never gonna get played on Radio 1. And here we are on the BBC Radio 1 podcast. So how about that, you fuckers? You know what I mean? And that's what I just had my review, bro. Like, with it, you get told no so many times by people because you don't want to conform to their way of doing things. People like you and me, I think, we kind of look at that and be like, I ain't going to take no for an answer, and I'm going to beg, steal, borrow, do whatever to connect to people, because that's all it's about for me, right?
Yeah.
You know
well,
what I mean?
I feel like, you know, when a lot of people tell you no and saying you can't do this, you can't do that, I feel like that's a huge driving point for us, man. That's what gives us the boost to go, all right, fuck you then. I'm going to keep going then. I'm going to prove you all wrong that I can do this. Completely. And that's just how it's just been. And, you know, like throughout the years, you know, making my fan base, you know, working on my music, working on everything that I'm doing, whether it's boxing, YouTube, etc. You know, I've been putting in the graft, working hard. I'm working twice, if not 3 times as hard as my peers to prove that, yes, I can do this. And then when I'm in this position, it doesn't stop. We continue and keep going.
Completely, brother. I was like, congrats on the 1 year, brother. I was watching it. I was literally watching the highlights. What morning was it? It was probably yesterday. I was watching the highlights at a fight. I was hungover after the EMAs, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to put the fight on. And it was so good, bro. Do you know what I mean? I think it's such a representation of who you are. And I don't literally want this thing to be just me and you jerking each other off for 10 minutes. But I'm just saying, like, I just appreciate it. And I think, like, if you are a young artist out there, and if you are a musician out there, and people are telling you that your way is not going to cut it, or your way is too different or too radical or too strange, don't listen to those people, because often they are already chasing their tails. If a lot of music executives are already one step behind because they're signing something that is current now. So if you're listening to something that's current now, trying to recreate that, you're already 2 steps behind.
Exactly. That's a very good point. And then you want to be the person that is doing their own thing, you know, creating their own fan base, creating their own music. And then eventually, when it comes back around, everyone's interested in you. And you're already popping, and you already know you've been doing this for years. And it's just second nature at that point.
A lot of stigma kind of I face, kind of being a rock musician, is this new way of social media and connecting kind of thing. And someone said to me, "Is like, would the Sex Pistols have been on social media?" And to me, in this generation, 100% yes.
Yeah.
If you look at stuff like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, there ain't nothing more punk than that. Young people bin themselves. That is the definition of punk to me. I think you're a punk. I think I'm a punk. I think Rosa Parks was a punk. Punk doesn't mean I'm going to not wash for 5 days and smash the crap out of my instruments. You know what I mean? It's a definition of freedom. And what was hard to me, bro, like your debut to Simulation, was like it went to number 2. And you were so close chasing the 1975, arguably the biggest band in the world right now, probably the biggest band hands down in the UK. And I bet they were shitting the pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were they were definitely a bit like, yo, who's this random YouTuber that's actually giving us a bit of a run for our money here?
As I say, kudos. I love that band. I respect their music so heavy. I think they're geniuses.
For sure.
But isn't it incredible? And to be honest, they probably got a kick out of it. Because usually they're just going to walk it. And then you come from left field. I always see this thing, right? If we look at the mainstream like a road that's going inside a gate, there's thousands of people trying to go down the road to get inside the gate. Whereas you went round the garden,
I
the
got
fence.
I got a plane, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's
I got
like
a plane and we're like, fuck that.
Do you know what? And there's me trying to climb the back gate at the wall, going, how the hell did he get a plane? I'm trying to climb the grapevine here to get into the promised land, and you just parachuted down for a plane.
Yeah, no, but mate, social media for me is the most important thing, and I feel like it's always been the most important thing, because it just allows everyone to be so connected. You know, it allows everyone to just come together so easily, whereas before there was quite a huge amount of separation. And back in the day, man, without social media, there was always these gatekeepers that decided, you can go through, and it's all about people they know. It's like, I know such and such, and he wants to be a musician, cool, he can come in and he's through the gate. Oh, what, this random guy that's got a bit of buzz, but like I don't know who he is, etc. You know, he's not in my group. He's shunned. Whereas now with social media, the people decide, bro. The people decide everything.
Some geezer comes up to me at the Grammys, this music exec, and he had, a bit of like canapé on his blazer. You know what I mean? I could see like a bit of food on his blazer, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, I know what this conversation is going to be before you even opened your mouth. And he's like, what's the formula? And I'm like, what? Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the formula? Like almost looking at me like I cheated or did something crazy, and I just kind of looked at him and I was like, you don't know me, I don't know you, and I ain't got any hate for you or anything like that, but I was just like, tell the truth, be who you are, and don't listen to people like yourself. Do you know what I mean? I was looking at this quote you said, and that's why I was buzzing. It's like, I want to destroy this infuriating stigma that if a YouTuber does something, it should be disregarded.
Yeah, no, bro, it's again been one of the main things that drives me to do everything that I do, because I feel like because I'm a YouTuber and because I still do YouTube, everything else that I do it's disregarded as bad, or it's just not up to standard. But you know, I could put as much work as someone else who's just a full-time musician, if not more. And because of the whole YouTube thing, people are like, nah, it's trash, it's trash. So it's kind of like, I just need to prove that. You know, the only way to show everyone wrong is to just prove it, and you know, show. And I feel like I'm doing that. I feel like I'm in the process of doing that,
dude. In a way of everything, our generation, in terms of sexuality, in terms of race, in terms of the boundaries and the boxes are getting thrown in the bin, because boxes are for cereal. You know what I mean? Boxes are for cereal and boundaries are for football pitches. You know what I mean? Not people. You can do what you want.
Whatever you want, bro. That's it.
Whatever you, and if you believe it hard enough, you'll get it. You will fundamentally get it.
Exactly.
And it's just buzzing. And bruv, like, man, I really love, bruv. I think it's a banger.
Man. Thank you.
It's a banger. As soon as you sent me, like, I got a little snippet before it came out, and I was like, that chorus slaps.
Mate, Craig did his thing, innit?
Bro, what did you do? What was it like doing a song with Craig David, man? Like, cause
insane,
like, for you, Craig David's like Kurt Cobain. Do you know what I mean? For me,
yeah. Bro, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, I sent him the song. So Emanike wrote the chorus, and we sent the song to Craig David, and I didn't think he'd do it. You know, like, I always feel like a lot of artists don't want to work with me because of the whole YouTube stigma, and you know, I feel like I'm getting rid of that barrier now, but at the time, there's still like a lot of people were like, I don't know if he's serious. And bro, I've been doing it for years. I've always been serious, but because I'm a YouTuber, they're like, I've seen his videos. I don't know. I can't take him seriously as a musician. But I'm like, well, fuck you then.
But I love it, man. That's why I'm into you, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's why I like it. I just think it's punk rock. Do you know what I mean? Like,
thank you, man.
And with me, man, if people are telling me not to do something,
well, you're gonna fucking do it.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, do you know, I'm gonna do it. It's legitimate. Yeah. Like, I spoke to someone really close to me, Jessie Jo Stark, who runs Chrome Hearts with the family, and she said, like, if people are telling me all over the city not to hire someone, I'm gonna hire him.
Exactly.
Because that is just the fire, baby. Mm-hmm. And bro, I've been with you in the studio. Do you know what I mean? It's just energy. That's just it. That's
you've got way more energy than me, bro.
Good old ADHD and
bro,
Dr. Pepper.
You're taking off your shirt and everything. You're bouncing around.
Bro, that was so funny. You're like, dude, are you getting naked right now? I was like, JJ, I don't fancy you, but it's just a thing. It's just a thing that I do, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I get excited, I'm like, I'm ripping my clothes off. I don't know why. I just must be.
It's good. It's good. It's you. That's you.
I must just be a naturist. Do you know what I mean, or something? Are you buzzing to get back on tour then, or what?
Oh, mate, of course. I can't wait for the world to go back to normal, man. I can't wait to just go nuts on stage.
Dude, same. I'm literally going to walk on stage and be like, right, everyone cry now and get it out. Because in 10 minutes, I want that mosh pit split out. I want everyone just getting sweaty. Yeah. Bro, Greg James on Radio 1 yesterday was playing like, vaccination, dum-dum, vaccination, is this the way we feel?
Here we go. It's coming, baby.
It's coming. It's like split out the pits. Jage, man, I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on,
pleasure,
bro.
Man. Thank you,
Keep breaking boundaries. Keep making
likewise,
like cool stuff. And like there's a big side eyes in this conversation. That's what I'm gonna say. You're a rock star, man. Thank you so much.
Your pleasure, man.
KSI, man, he's such a sick dude. Like, we share so many of the same experiences. I just love how he's kind of been himself, doing his own thing, doing his own culture, and connecting people and making people feel good. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to be dropping some more episodes with my mates in the future, so subscribe on BBC Sounds for exclusive access to them. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.